Vincent Von Doom, and you are listening to Disaster Survival Magazine's weekly radio broadcast. Von Doom, Vincent Von Doom.
This is Vincent Von Doom with Disaster Survival Magazine's weekly radio broadcast. This week we have Daniel Haight with us, author of Flotilla. Daniel, are you there?
I am here. Thanks very much, Vincent.
Oh, yeah. How are things on the West Coast?
Well, we haven't fallen off into the ocean yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I just sent my co-host a radiation detector from Seeks USA, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
They make personal radiation detectors, and I sent him one to monitor the radiation coming over from Fukushima.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something we were reporting on recently. We're just waiting for that to show up. They're saying the major plume of radiation should hit about April, so not planning on going down and surfing anytime soon, unfortunately.
Daniel is the author of Flotilla and Iron Mountain.
That's correct.
They are a series of dystopian fiction. Can you tell us a little about the first book, Flotilla?
Sure, absolutely. Flotilla is a book about a kid who has to grow up at the end of the world. And so Jim is 15 years old. He's a misunderstood kid from a really dysfunctional family. He begins the story by being kicked out of rehab and then subsequently kicked out of his mom's house and sent to go live with his father, except for the part where his father lives in the near future on a floating colony of people who raise fish off the coast of Los Angeles. And so over the course of 2 summers, Jim has to kind of navigate this really weird, crazy world that his dad lives aboard. Unfortunately, his dad is also involved in a number of naughty things, I will say. And as a result, he's got modern-day pirates, he's got drug dealers, and he's got cops all on his tail. And so Jim is thrust into a situation where even though he's trying to make good decisions, his dad is definitely not. And just as the story reaches a critical point, the world starts melting down. And so now Jim is thrust into a situation where he's got to survive every second of the day like it was his last, and not only save himself, but also his 11-year-old sister, Madison. So the whole story is the progression of him trying to just kind of survive this crazy situation, but then it just goes absolutely sideways with the world melting down in a real end of the world as we know it type scenario. And the book ends with him escaping the colony. And so we take that and take everything that takes place in the story. Obviously, there's a lot more to this story. I'm just giving you the overall. And then we take Iron Mountain, where it picks up right where Flotilla left off, takes everything that you love about survival and prepping and military hardware, all that stuff, and just turns it right up to 11. So everyone has been very positive about it. I think you, Vincent, are going to love it because it's 150% real. All the locations in Flotilla and Iron Mountain are real places. All the hardware is real. I work with a friend who's a Lance Corporal, did a couple of tours in Afghanistan to make sure I got the military hardware correct, and all the different nautical themes, all those different pieces of technology, they're all 150% real.
That sounds great. So it sounds like you're getting entertainment and education all at the same time.
Well, I don't know how you are, but I like watching movies where they're accurate, where they really took the time to get the details right. I feel respected as a reader or as a film watcher when people do that. And so when I was writing Flotilla and Iron Mountain, I wanted to make sure I did the same thing.
So he pretty much has to, the character, Jim, pretty much has to become an adult overnight.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. And yet, you know and I know that when you're that age, you don't become an adult right away. You're still capable of doing stupid things. And he does lots of stupid things. He's the kind of kid you simultaneously want to hug and choke. Because he's, on one level, vulnerable, on another level, completely irritating. So I wanted to give people a character they could love and hate at the same time.
I don't think I became an adult till I was 30 years old. I made a lot of stupid decisions in my 20s.
I'm 36. I'm still working on it. So, yeah.
So I'm looking at the cover, and just the cover. Oh yeah, I'm looking at the cover of the book, and just the cover alone looks very exciting.
Sweet. You like the cover?
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you a story about that cover, man. That thing was so crazy that I originally had a cover in mind that I thought would be really appropriate and everyone seemed to like, but then I threw it up on the internet for people to look at, and oh my God, did people hate it. I don't know if how much you hang out on Reddit or Imgur, but I threw it up there on the site and said, hey, tell me what you think of it, and everyone was like, oh my God, this thing sucks. And so I spent about 2 days online just constantly going back and forth, people going, well, what should it be? How can I make this better? Blah, blah, blah. And people even got in and said, hey, I'll give you a cover. I dig what you're doing here. Cool. And, people responded really well. As a result, we were able to come up with a cover that really helped tell the story much better than the first one. So
Cool.
I was able to utilize the power of the Internet.
I'm a graphic designer, so I love doing covers and magazines. I do the magazine, Disaster Survival magazine.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank
you. I really
you.
enjoyed it, yeah.
Thank you.
I was looking at that thing going, yeah, no, this thing looks so, it's graphic intensive. I don't know if this is going to be really, oh, look at all this information. Oh, look at all this content. Oh, this actually knows what he's talking about. So I really enjoyed that.
I handle most of the graphics and the information. I have other experts writing the articles for me because I'm not the best writer. So what I try to do is I try to mix both the best worlds, where I can get the older generation and the new generation together, so they can just learn more about prepping and have fun. And the newer generation, they don't have as much knowledge when it comes to prepping and a lot of the skills that let's say Dr. Prepper would have. Right.
And and that's fine. And I think the way that you've brought everyone together, especially in the format that you've got, is extremely engaging. So I'm sure that everyone really enjoys it. And it's a lot of fun even if it's a lot of fun to read, it's a lot of fun to look at. And that's what I always look for in a magazine.
You're going to be writing an article in the next issue number 4, aren't you?
If my editor will approve it. Hint, hint. I know, man. I'm overdue. I'll get it done, I promise.
Excellent. So I was listening to Iron Mountain on Preparedness Radio.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty good. So a lot of the things that go on in this book seems like they can take place at any moment right now with how crazy the world's getting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When you look at, I first started writing about Flotilla and the meltdown back in 2000, I would say, 6, was not planning on things to go this way, right? And, through the progression of world events and the news, especially what you're seeing now with Ukraine as well as Venezuela, what happened a couple of years ago with the Occupy movement, and you're like, yeah, this is not that far-fetched. This could easily happen. It's really terrifying what you're seeing right now in different parts of the world.
Yeah, and it seems to be spreading.
Yeah. Well, look what's going on with Syria. What's really terrifying to me, and I'm sure this is something you thought about as well, Vincent, is that when you've got a state-run media blacking out the reporting, unless YouTube and Facebook and Twitter existed, you would not know what was going on in Venezuela right now at all.
Yeah.
Because they've just completely blacked it out. So, it's terrifying to think that, what's supposed to be a reliable source of information is completely throttled to deny, crucial information to you. But, so that's sometimes why you have to step up and recognize your own responsibility.
Yeah. And the government also lifted the propaganda ban that's been in place since World War II, right? They can force propaganda on the American public now.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No, tell me about it.
There used to be a law where the government couldn't use propaganda on American citizens through media, whether it be TV or posters, but they just lifted that ban so they can pretty much do whatever they want. But yeah, I agree with you about them not reporting what's really going on. I turned on the news this morning hoping to watch what was going on in the Ukraine, and they were talking about making blueberry pancakes.
Yeah, isn't it irritating? I'll be honest with you. I have to watch maybe 4 separate news channels if I really want to know what's going on. I have to go through 4 separate news sites, and I have to go to and 2 of them at least, or one of them at least is either going to be the BBC or Al Jazeera, because I'm not going to hear what's going on otherwise.
That's what I do. I go to different news sites, and I also go to news websites that are in different languages, and I use Google Translate to try to find out the full story of what's really going on.
Yeah, because you're not going to hear it otherwise.
You're not going to hear it, but also it doesn't match up what we're being told. When I go to other countries' websites, it's a complete opposite story. Something's not right going on.
Somebody posted this as a joke on Imgur, but I think you'd get it because it's a joke, but also it's very sad. They posted a picture of President Obama drinking a Coke or a Pepsi, excuse me, and they go, "Here's how the news cycle would work: if President Obama with the Pepsi, and then the headline for CNN, Cola Wars heat up, MSNBC, Obama in bed with big soda, Fox." President Obama hates Americans because he won't drink Coke. And then the bottom one was airstrike killed 18 in Yemen from BBC. And it's like, it's really sick, but it's true. Like there's so much nonsense being pushed through mainstream media such that you really will you can miss some truly horrific stories.
Yeah, I try not to even watch mainstream media anymore.
Other than the weather, I'm out of it.
Yeah. So, in Flotilla, there's tensions explode after a huge terrorist attack hits Los Angeles. Right. And there's a virus that's released, a new virus. That's correct. So there's been a weaponized. See, in Flotilla, essentially, we just take the idea of what if you had multiple 9/11 level attacks happen throughout the United States. And so you've got dirty bombs in some locations, you've got persons who are just doing mass shootings in other locations, and then you've got in the third category, biological agents. So we actually talk about how different bacteria have been weaponized, and they've been in production. Like, this is not a secret. Like, you can go and read about how over in the Soviet Union until very recently, they've had a very active bioweapons production. And so that's something that we talk about in detail. Those programs were supposed to have been canceled after the Cold War, but we all know they weren't.
Well, biopreparat, it's really unclear as to when it ended, right? I mean, basically, if you want to take the quotations off it, that's what I'm talking about. So you can Google biopreparat and read about it, but that was a massive bioweapons warfare complex in the Soviet Union. And, yeah, whether or not it's even shut down right now is in dispute.
I always felt that if a major virus or pandemic broke out, the ocean would be the best place to go. If you had access to a boat and enough supplies, that's where I would go if I could, or to some island somewhere. Definitely. That's what they do in Flotilla. They're aboard a.
Well, they do, but not because. Right. I mean, it was kind of a fortuitous series of events, right? In the near future, I described this community that exists out there just because it exists out there. And they're raising fish for commercial sale, just like they do up in Canada right now. In fact, all the technology I talk about in terms of raising fish for sale, that's something they do already in Canada. So this is all existing technology. So fortunately, because they live where they are spared the initial attack. But because they live where they are, and everyone has family on the mainland, and because people from the mainland are coming out there to try to survive, it is really manifesting a very difficult, a very delicate balance of ecosystems. You got a number of people out there. Some of them are out there for good reasons, and some of them aren't. And so you're going to find out which are which.
Cool. Where can they go if people want to go to your website?
The main website will take you everywhere you want to go, flotillaonline.com, FLOTILLAONLINE.com.
And they can read the first 5 chapters of Flotilla for free from your website?
Exactly. And